The war has left deep marks on the Dutch collective psyche. Away from the noise of Dam Square, I wanted Victor to tell me more about it, and of course, about Anne Frank.
The war is left its traces very much on the city of Amsterdam. It was occupied for 5 years. A very large part of the Jewish community was arrested and deported to concentration camps. There was never really a battle going on inside the city of Amsterdam when the Netherlands were occupied. The battle was going on elsewhere, and one day the tanks just rolled in and resistance had stopped. But the Germans were everywhere, of course, and those traces are gone. I mean, the war is largely invisible. But there's an incredible amount of stories about the war, and it's behind every facade. I live next to an older Jewish couple, both in their late 80s, and the woman is from Switzerland, but the man grew up in Amsterdam in the 1930s, 20s and 30s, and he one day got his notice to take a few of his belongings and go to the German police and be sent to Germany. And he said, "I'm not going to do that." And he fled to Switzerland and later met his wife. And he has an incredible story about his being a fugitive and running through fields in Belgium and sleeping in the hay, you know. And this is a man just living next to me, next to my door. You know, I got his notice to go to Auschwitz one day, and he's living next door to me. And
one thing that strikes me is that Anne Frank probably wrote the book that of all time will be the book that is associated with this city. You know, whatever literary works in the future come along, probably she indivisibly will be associated with that.
Absolutely, and that's maybe because the drama was so big. The crime of genocide is so big and so incomprehensible that you really need a book like Anne Frank, who just focuses on the very small details of her everyday life, how it is to be in hiding, to be in love with a boy in the hiding place, you know, and thinking about it, and you can't get out, you know, just staring at a tree because you can't go outside. The fear of the Germans walking by with their boots, you know. You really need to look at a small detail to get a sense of the bigger picture. You cannot paint the big picture. That's much more difficult, you know. But it's by accident, of course, that the book has been saved by Miep, the woman who helped them be in their hiding place. There were lots of people like Miep in the Netherlands during the Second World War. People all over the country were offering refuge to Jewish people who had to go into hiding. And there are lots of these stories, and most of them did it for free, you know, just for... but there were also people who did it just for the money, you know. And there were also people who were betraying. They would turn them in at the German police, you know, for money also.
Are Dutch writers of fiction interested in questions about the war in addition to the historians, would you say?
They are. It's a big reference point to everybody, I guess, and the generation that grew up in the war with writers like Harry Mulisch, Gerard Reven, and Willem Frederik Hermans, who are considered to be the three great Dutch post-war writers who all grew up during World War II. They all wrote books about the period set in World War II, and it's still everything happened before or after the war, you know. It's the biggest reference point, I think.
One of the nicest places to go on a sunny day is the Vondelpark, a beautiful green space in the heart of the city.
We're walking through the Vondelpark, which is located in the southern part of Amsterdam, close to the center. And you could compare it to Hyde Park or Central Park. It's the biggest park in the city where lots of people go in the summer. Concerts are being held here. You can see everybody walking around, jogging by on their bicycles. And it's a very beautiful park. It was designated in the 19th century. and was named after Vondel, Joost van den Vondel, who is, you could say, the Dutch Shakespeare. He was a 17th century playwright and poet. He's not much read anymore, unfortunately, but he was really legendary in his days. His legend still lives on, but as things go with 17th century literature, the thing with the English, that the English don't change their language much, and the Dutch language keeps on changing. It makes it harder for the modern reader to read older texts like 17th century plays. I think the English pay more tribute to their forefathers, like Shakespeare, than we do with Vondel. But he's got a park named after him.
Shakespeare hasn't.
Which Shakespeare hasn't.
Mention Amsterdam, and of course the Redlight district is bound to come up as a topic of conversation sooner or later. On my last morning, Victor took me there.
Yeah, okay, so this is the beginning of the Redlight district. It's a combination of little alleys off the canals. There are girls on the canals as well. It's like a little labyrinth, and this is more like the labyrinth part we're walking by now. It's morning, so most of the windows are still closed. You see the red curtains, the red lanterns, and the red light district is, of course, one of the things that Amsterdam is very known for. But it hasn't always been the same. I think the situation has changed a lot since the beginning of the 21st century, because it was a new law installed then. It basically said that prostitution was legalized, and it meant that prostitutes should take care of their own business, should pay taxes also, should be like any other company. But the strange thing is that it also helped the pimps quite a lot. Whereas there used to be a lot of Dutch girls working here, a lot of pimps came and brought girls from Eastern Europe here. So there are lots of girls from Eastern Europe working here now, and it's a shady business because the legalization was something that was meant to clarify the situation and pull it out of the shady business. But the shady business has become even more shadier now, with those pimps importing women from Eastern Europe who often don't know where they're going or don't know what they're going to do, and they're forced to work here, and so the police are very much onto it. And also there are a lot of windows which have closed down. A lot of young fashion designers are working now here in this district and actually showing their designs on window dolls. Look a bit like they're prostitutes, so it's a little confusion there.